All right. Unfortunately, when I started the other space early, there was no share button, which means no one could see the space. This has happened to me before. So I created a new one. We're going to have to share this out. So can we tweet it? Can everyone just tweet it out and share it? Because everyone's thinking it's the other space. I'm going to delete the other space. PSX, I sent you the mic, but if you can request again. And CENTCOM, if you could request whenever you're ready. I think it's prudent to probably wait a little bit, PSX, before since what happened.
Yeah, give everybody.
It's I don't like it when when you schedule a space and then you start it and then it starts glitched and then no one can join. That's what happened. There was no share button, no one could see it, so I had to adapt and overcome, and so I just put another space up. But I think everyone will figure it out here in a second. And you were already up here speaking, so what happened? X does not like us today, guys. Let's do a mic check with White Whale and Crunk real quick.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Hello, hello, test.
Yeah, we hear you. PSX is having some connectivity issues, apparently.
I guess CENTCOM has as well, if he didn't request to speak yet.
Well, we can give it just a moment, and then I'm going to go into the intro. PSX, can you still speak? Just out of curiosity. We might have to pivot. PSX, you might have to. It's raining here and it's storming, so I'm wondering if the weather is screwing with the signal because there's wind near me. It might be
You're
better.
good. You're good. I can hear you.
I'm good? Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, hello.
Yep, hear you, CENTCOM. Okay, PSX, could you please make it work this time? It's not his fault.
Am I good? I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, we hear you
All
now.
right, cool. Yeah, it looks like we're running into some technical issues, but we'll get through it real quick, and then um,
He got booted again. What's going on with this?
It's Elon Rux.
Did this happen to you, Sencom, in a earlier space?
Not so. I haven't been in a space today. Actually, yesterday was fine.
The bandwidth might be kind of crazy. Who knows? So, PSX, before you go any further, unfortunately, the actual fix might require you to log out of Twitter, shut down your phone, restart your phone, restart Twitter, and log back in. If it continues to happen, that should fix it. All right, let's kick this off. Welcome to episode 24 of the Uninterrupted podcast. Thanks for joining. PSX and I will serve up the scoops of information ice cream you've been yearning for. Today we have something special, so grab your beverage of choice and relax so we can take you on an uninterrupted journey. A quick disclaimer, this podcast should not be considered financial advice. The content of this broadcast here and or any other platform are for educational and entertainment purposes only and cite our own personal opinions. In order to make the best financial decision that suits your needs, please conduct your own research and seek the advice from a licensed financial advisor if necessary. Lunk Development Fund Validator is back with their Lunk Drive time spaces for those looking for a casual conversation and less serious ones. Keep an eye out for them and consider delegating with them for the consistent support for the L1 task force. Big shout out to Garuda Nodes, a validator you can trust, and Garuda Universe, a rising star in game development. Keep soaring high. A roaring applause to Angry Ape Society on the Ethereum blockchain and the artistic genius of Tino for their NFT project, a visual feast for not only comic book fans, but also any lover of manga. Attention NFT enthusiasts, discover the thrilling Gravedigger utility coming to Luna Classic from Backbone Labs and Bone Society. Stay tuned. All right, since we've been having these technical difficulties, all right, PSX, is it working now? I already did all the intro part.
on my end, how do I sound?
Sound
All right,
perfect.
sounds good. Whew. All right. Where are
you might have missed it, but I went through the intro.
Oh yeah, no worries. Okay, so thanks for being patient with everybody. I know we've got a lot of topics to cover that we want to hit up within the short period of time that we have, but if we can do a quick little for anyone who's new to the community or to White Whale or to Luna Classic or just came in midway after, I don't know, say like a year that we've been through this, been through the ups and downs. If we can do starting with Syncom, just kind of go around, do a quick introduction, who you're with, who you're representing, and what your position is, real quick, starting with Syncom, please.
Yeah, first of all, PSX Jerry, thanks for inviting White Whale a second time to your podcast. I enjoyed the first time, and I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy the second time as well, because you guys are one of the most professional Twitter space organizers I've come and hosts and moderators I've come across so far. So thank you for that. So White Whale, what is White Whale and who are we? So we have the White Whale account here. Behind that we have Ponzi Ninja hiding. He's our masterful business developer, and I'm just a cheerleader. I'm also at White Whale. And what's the history? What's White Whale? So originally, White Whale started as a platform to decentralize and democratize the UST peg. So to take it away, it didn't work. That's why there's Luna Classic and Luna 2 now. But still, we had almost 40 million in TVL at the peak, and the idea was that we allow the community and everybody to defend the pack, and we did. It just wasn't enough. Now then, Terra Classic exploded, and a lot of teams took money and ran away and hide themselves with whatever they had left. But the White Whale team decided to keep going and rise from the ashes and rebuild. So when the crash happened, we looked outwards. What can we do now? And since then we've been building nonstop until today. And as of today, we have a couple of things going. We have our own blockchain, Megaloo, a permissionless layer 1 blockchain, similar to Terra or to Juno, with all the latest tech, bells and whistles. And we've been the first to enable cross-chain staking. So together with TFL and Luna, B Luna was the first cross-staked asset in the Cosmos, and it was on Megaloo. Then we have a cross-chain app, the White Whale DeFi app. It consists of a DEX and flash loan vaults. That's live on, I think, 8 or 9 chains right now. So it's so much I lost count. It's the first and one of the most widely spread cross-chain protocols. Then we have validation services. So we have our own, validators across multiple chains, securing 8 figures in assets. We're very active in governance and supporting the chains, also on the infrastructure level. And then we also have our open source MEV solutions, so arbitrage bots and liquidations. And all that's White Whale today. And as of a couple of weeks ago, we decided to bring our cross-chain application and our community and the teams we've been building with back to Luna Classic. And that's why we're here today.
Sencom, thanks a lot for that introduction. Vin, and then Kronk, please, if you will, quickly introduce yourself.
Yes. So for everyone who doesn't know me, so I'm Ving, and I have been working in this space in Terra Classic community for 8 months by now, and I'm starting as a blockchain developer, and now I'm currently leading the L1 Terra Classic task force. So for those who have known me in the community, so we have just gone through a really rough upgrade, because like the database of the chain is too huge. Terra Classic data size is comparable to Cosmos Hub. We're talking about like terabytes of data, like a lot of data. So the upgrade goes on for 2 hours, and due to due to constraint of validator machine. So like we were not expecting that the upgrade would consume so much resource. So like when we figured it out, like we've told validator to enable swap on the SSD, to enable more RAM size, and the upgrade managed to pass. And there were a lot more hidden bugs that we are still like discovering and fixing.
Ben, thank you for that. Crunk, if you will kindly introduce yourself.
Hi guys, yeah, this is Krunk, and our team. We were Luna investors, like early 2021, and all of us we believed in Luna. Decentralized money, decentralized economy needs decentralized money, and basically we believe Luna had the potential to flip ETH, and the tokenomics was one of the best in the world. I mean, as UST demand goes up, Luna gets burnt. And so we just staked it, and then we thought, hey, you know what? You don't need to touch this for 5 years, and then you come back, don't need to work ever again. And then, yeah, we believe that SPF and all those guys, Barry and maybe whoever else attacked it, and it depegged, and then, yeah, we know what happened. And then, so we kind of took a break from crypto for a while, and we were all investors, but we were also builders on Terra One, and we helped some projects out and helped. So after about a year break, one of our friends, he was doing the BRC20 work. One guy was doing the NFT marketplace, another guy was doing the swap, the IDO swap. And then we started looking into BRC20 because, I mean, obviously Bitcoin was one of the reasons we all joined crypto. And then after playing with the BRC20, we realized it's not really like a smart contract. It's not like Ethereum. All they're doing is they're putting JSON like inscriptions on the Bitcoin, blockchain, and it's more like, yeah, it's not it can't be scaled, and it can't be used in DeFi. So we thought, let's try to find a way that we can use this through Cosmos. And then we realized there's too much trouble building your own chain, and we thought that if we get something on Lunk can be the gateway to Cosmos. And Lunk is a very efficient chain, already has a lot of history because it's Terra Classic, and it's very efficient. So that's where we came, and then since we have experience with the Lunk and Terra Classic building, so we thought, hey, let's just build the BRC20 bridge to Lunk. And then since like White Whale and all these other teams, TFM, they've already built the IBC bridges and IBC connection. So once we can get the BRC20 and Bitcoin on Lunk, then it can be moved on IBC through the other partners. So yeah, that's where we are now. We're building a BRC20 bridge to Lunk. All right, thanks.
Cool. All right, man. We got a lot to cover, man. It's getting spicy out there as usual in the Luna Classic community. Lots of problems, lots of challenges, lots of hurdles to go through, be it technical and unfortunately political. So let's kind of keep this conversation very open. Hopefully we can drive up some new ideas, inspire some next steps. Maybe we can start with identifying some of the problems that we're coming across with. And we'll just kind of start with Sencom and go around the table.
Sure. So right now I see two major issues. One of them is the lack of, Terra Classic has a lot of custom logic. So applications that want to build on Terra Classic, they need to develop very specifically for Terra Classic. And that's a repellent for cross-chain protocols. So especially the burn tax that's included everywhere, forces you to rewrite a lot of parts of your contract and do a lot of changes on your front end, and that's a major pain point. It took us, I think, a month to figure it out. That's a lot of time. Whereas normal quote-unquote deployments take us a day or two. And the second thing is, and I think it was highlighted by the recent upgrade, is that there needs to be a stronger relationship between the core team that's building the chain and the app builders. Because I know, when you upgrade a chain, something can go wrong. There could be downtime, maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 10 hours. That's okay. But what makes a lot of problems is if you make changes to the blockchain that break existing applications. And I think those two things, they need to be addressed to get more people onto Luna Classic and keep them there.
I've got a quick question. For some reason, I can't seem to raise my hand, but regarding the burn tax, what kind of setbacks with what you just mentioned there? It seems that because I don't know what kind of complications the burn tax does, or what additional? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question. Like, how much longer does it require dealing with the burn tax just to onboard onto Luna Classic? Like, what kind of setbacks are we looking at?
So, the White Whale team is quite experienced. We have one of the best, Cosmosm developers. Some of them have worked at Confio, the team, that invented Cosmosm. And it took us weeks. Just to give you an example. So we have part of our, application is a DEX. And, in a DEX, the user swaps tokens. So he puts a token in and gets another token out. And in the back end, there is a router. So the user goes to the router, hey, here's 1,000 USTC. I want Luna Classic. So the router takes the tokens, puts them to the pool, gets the tokens back from the pool, and sends them to the user. And between those interactions, and that normally works. We can just more or less copy-paste it to different chains. But on Luna Classic, we need to subtract the tax. Every time there's movement of tokens, we need to do math. And that math needs to be right. So it's weeks for experienced teams.
Sam, I'm assuming this, but is it because there's a requirement to optimize the contracts so that it just basically makes it more affordable for the layer twos? Is that what you're dealing with?
No, it's about getting it to work in the first place. Because, the user, let me give you a very straight example with some numbers. The user sends 1,000 USDC to the router, to the DEX, and expects, some Luna Classic back. So now the router thinks, all right, I got 1,000 USDC. I'm going to send that to the pool and swap it there for the user. But then the burn tax already took something. And the router is left with, let's say 990 USDC. And he tries to take 1,000. But then the contract fails because there is no 1,000 anymore. So whenever there's movement, the tax is applied and the contract is left wondering where are the tokens. This is wrong. Stop.
Bitmos or Crunk, I think you and we had a conversation about this. Like, you guys were kind of running into the same issue regarding the burn tax being implemented on your end. What's that? What does those challenges look like?
Yeah, I mean, just like White Whale was saying, that it doesn't work out of the box. Like you can't just between the other chains. So you have to add some code to calculate the tax, and the tax is based on how much Luna you're transferring. So so it's not that bad if it doesn't change. Like, okay, for example, if the lung tax is going to be the same from now next 5 years, then yes, we make some custom logic and then we don't have to touch it. We just, this modular code, we can just transfer between, like we can share the code between White Whale, all of us. And, whenever we do a transaction, we go through this, this little block of code. But I think the problem is if the lung people change the tax, then we have to re-update the code. And, that's what I feel like. I think it's okay if we standardize things, like then there can be a tax. And then White Whale, any developer who builds on Lunk is gonna need to do tax on their code. We can just pull this code, right? I think that was the hard part. It was really hard to figure out because there's no consensus, there's no documents. So you're trial and error, you're trying to go through, and you're chatting with people, trying to figure out what the tax is and how to calculate it. So I think that was the problem. I think it's the custom logic is a big problem, and I think we should not keep doing these custom logics. But I think having the burn tax is part of what Lunk is known for, and they want to. So I think it's not a big problem if we can basically agree on everything and share code to get it out faster. That was one of the good things about Terra Luna 1. They had a lot of good code like Mirror Protocol, Anchor Protocol. These guys would launch their code, open source it, and then other teams could use that to build off, right? And learn from. And we didn't have that in Lunk. There's no code out there. Like for basic things, you can't even figure it out. You have to chat with it. You have to guess everything and test and error. And that was the biggest problem we had. If someone let's say Terra Rebels or Terra Avit, the guys who built the Terraport, if they had open sourced their code and showed how they did the burn tax, and then we could just copy and paste that modular part in, right? So I think that was the biggest thing missing. Yeah.
So here's one suggestion I like to make to the Classic community, who I know loves burns, but hear me out. So get rid of this burn tax. It's a nightmare for application builders, and you'll have a hard time attracting developers. So get rid of the burn tax, and double, triple, quadruple orders of magnitudes more of developers potentially coming to the chain. But then you say, all right, but we want to keep burning. And I say, raise the transaction fees and burn them. Because then you got the best of both worlds. You have easy contract development, more builders, more apps, more activity on the chain, and you still burn tokens. Because every time someone swaps, someone, does anything, he has to take or pay a higher fee. Otherwise, if you're gonna continue, if you're gonna want to go down the road of continuing with the burn tax, that's fine. It's ultimately a community decision. You need to be aware of that. This is a strong repellent for dev builders.
I am so tempted to push that narrative, but I can't. It's like,
well, PSX, this was actually a topic of discussion, exactly how he brought it, how Sencom brought it up about 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah,
people were saying this, and here we are experiencing it. So whoever brought it up back then, I guess they were right.
No, well, I don't think Sencom was the first. I mean, I had my suspicions that they were spot on. Like, how do you attract economic activity? It's through, say, like whether it be countries or states. It's generally the easiest route, especially specifically with government. They provide tax incentives. This would just be a blockchain version of that, where you would just get rid of it and then have the developers of the app developers to dictate the burn fees, or however they want to do it. Did Vin drop out? Oh man, we having glitches? Oh, there's Vin.
Yeah, we're having glitches. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was having glitches earlier. Then, do you have anything that you can input on, provide some input or insight on that, or any
On the
at
burn
least,
tax.
yeah, or anything? Just because
I can see that. I can see like there were many failed transaction with burn tax. With the most recent one is with crypto.com, where they lose roughly $20,000 just making like failed transaction, which is like not really cool actually. Like it's really terrible. Like you make 3 failed transaction, nothing gets transferred, and you already lose $20,000. So not a really good site. I think that like raising transaction fee is also a really good way. Estimation of like both burn tax and transaction fee turns out to be wrong a lot of the time. So I think like maybe like raising transaction fee should be a really good solution. And I think I will have to think more on that, on how to deal with burn tax. Like if we raise transaction fee, and then we have to raise transaction fee to a level that burn tax is currently burning. So I'm not sure yet how to implement such. But I agree with Sencom that raising transaction fee is a better solution.
Well, I mean, I like the direction that that's going. More discussion, I guess, and some data would probably help support that. So, CENTCOM, I mean, obviously the tax has been something that has been a challenge to deal with. Have there been any other lessons learned during the process?
How to say? Most of the time, it's about estimation. Like is estimate is not correct amount, is estimate, and like when you estimate for WASM transaction, for example, like it tends to go wrong because like for a WASM it will like how does gas fee in Cosmos is a little bit random and not quite deterministic. So like there will be like when you said like you must like when you send one gas and then it said you need 3 gas, and then you send 3 gas, it said you need 5 gas, and then you send 5 gas, it said you need 7 gas. So that's a problem with estimation.
Sounds like a recipe for a lot of constipation issues, man. Like,
And that's why we cannot
And
really get this efficient because, whenever we do these subtractions, let's say, the user wants to swap something and, on the different, ways the money flows, we need to subtract something to, set it aside for the burn tax, then we always need to add some error margin because we don't know what the exact number will be. So there's always some dust lying around.
yes, and also like the gas is already hard to estimate, and then you have burn tax comes along with it. So we have two sources of how to say pretty random, which returns a random estimation. So most of the time I see people like they multiply gas by 1.5 just to be certain, but like that's for like small transaction. But in the case of crypto.com, like they just cannot raise their gas by 1.5 multiplier for gas, because by then like that'll be like a really huge increase in the fee. So they would want it to be like as close as possible, which leads to their 3 failed transaction. Like it's very close to gas suggestion.
Crunk, I saw your hand. Did you have something to
Yeah,
add?
I think White Whale had a very good suggestion about it just increase the transactions and then take the gas from there. I mean, the burn tax from there. I think burn tax is part of the narrative now that Terra Classic has, especially because there's so many, lunk minted. So, is it maybe Vin can answer? But is it possible to just take the tax? If we raise the transaction, is it possible to just take a percentage of the commissions made by the validators? Like even if the ones that are zero validators, we actually somehow force it to be some commission. That way, so if someone's 100% commission, then we basically take 2.5 or whatever the tax is. But if it's zero commission, then we raise that to 2.5. So I was wondering, is it possible to just put it on the validated level? So for the developers and then for the community, there's no change, and we just got to work with the validators, and they have to always donate the tax themselves.
It's also a really good approach. For Vanta to donate, I think it can be coded in layer 1, in like reward distribution, and then in reward distribution I can extract that amount from validator, but
So here's a very simple idea.
that's a really good one. Like DHS, like transferring responsibility of burn tags from users to validator.
Here's a very simple one. So shut off the burn tags, and then there's already existing a functionality that's called community tags. And that community tags takes everything that's going to validators, takes a cut, and puts it into the community pool. So if there's a validator getting 100 USDC in this block, and the community tax is 10%, 10 USDC is wandering to the community pool. And from there on, you can just burn them.
Vin, is that going to require governance?
Yes, that will require governance.
Damn it.
But
of course it will.
You could even do this without doing any changes to the blockchain itself, because this is functionality that's already there. So you would have to do an upgrade to get rid of this, nasty burn tags, and then it's about just tweaking some parameters in the blockchain. This can be done with a parameter proposal, and then you can collect all the fees. You can collect them, and then you can make another proposal. Burn the fees, or let's use some of the fees instead of burning them, and develop something interesting. But it gives the community the choice.
Yeah, I just there's the community just as a whole. It's not exactly as homogenized as one would love to believe. This is one I really stay out of it. Yeah.
If a proposal goes up and it gets voted on, whether it's yes or no, I mean that's up to the community to vote on what direction they want it to go. So, I mean, if this moves in a direction where we might want to explore it, then a signal prop potentially to see what the temperature check is with the community, and then actually do the real proposal shortly thereafterwards to see what people want to do. But I mean, it has to be thought through, of course. But I think it's a move in a direction, at least for layer twos that are concerned about it.
Right. Speaking, I know with the burn tax kind of, I'd say it's been kind of the bane of everybody's existence. Whitewell's DEX is officially on Luna Classic. I mean, I know we wanted to touch up on liquidity. Jerry, what were your thoughts on that going forward?
Well, I mean, my major interest is like myself as an investor. I want to know how the community can benefit from what was already launched by White Whale with the liquid staking and all that other kind of stuff, how they can interact with it. And then also other developers with the infrastructure. So I know that's a loaded question there, Sencom, but what are the benefits that come with the infra that you bring over, and what are the benefits to the investors that have Luna Classic that can now utilize it with your protocol?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So there's a lot of different, dimensions to that question. So I'm gonna try to tackle them one by one. So for application builders, there's now more primitives. So if you want to issue a token, you now have a place to do that. You have a team to call and, to open pools for you and, get the message out. If you want to, do a liquidity campaign, attract liquidity into your token, you can do this now because our protocol allows you to put up incentives. If you are a bot builder, you want to build arbitrage bot, liquidation bots or something, now you have flash loans to work with. And then there's also, if you're an app builder and you want to you build on top of other systems, like a house, you build first floor, second floor, and so on. If you want to build a second floor, you now have a strong and reliable, first floor. Then for investors, it's important that the chain, keeps spinning, that it's alive, and that transactions are happening, because the more is happening on chain, the more is burned, the more fees are collected. which ultimately reduces supply and is good for the price. Non-financial advice, of course. And then there is, the additional development that will come from this. So, this, I know it's a open question, but this, Jerry, we were working on the Sapiens collection. So there's life coming, new NFT collections and so on. And ultimately, a strong ecosystem usually translates into a good price of the ecosystem. That's just, how things are usually. And lastly, White Whale has put up incentives, and a couple of individuals, for example, Luna V-Shape, a very vocal member of the Luna Classic community and also the Whale community, he committed to put up 100,000 Whale and I think a similar amount in Lung as incentives, so to attract more liquidity.
I got a question as far as staying on top of attracting liquidity. Crunk, what about tying? I don't know, like while you're building a bridge from Bitcoin to Luna Classic, is it possible to build a second bridge to White Whale? Like why build one when you can build two? And then I don't know how that works. Fill me in.
Yeah, so actually it'll be good to get White Whale's input on this. So based on what our research and what we're doing, so we noticed that when we transfer the token from the Bitcoin to IBC chain, whatever it could be, Terra or Juno, whatever it is. When we do that bridge, so basically, right now what we're doing is we're depositing Bitcoin or BRC20 into like a smart contract, not a real smart contract, but like a multi-sig wallet. And then when we check the wallet, we mint a CW20 token of that, right? So, like for example, if I transfer BRC, let's call it BRC PSX. If I transfer that to Lunk, I get a Terra address for it because I minted a new token for that. So now, if I bridge that to White Whale, I'm going to get the IBC version of it, right, with the IBC name. Now, let's say I do the same thing. I bridge a BRC20 token to White Whale directly. Then if I mint a CW20 token on White Whale, it's going to be its White Whale address. And then I IBC that over to Terra Classic. It's going to be a different IBC. So, I mean, that's the only issue we're having right now. White Whale, maybe you can chime in and let us know if there's a way around this. Because
nope, there isn't. That's the short version. It's one of the security or the design choices the IBC developers made, that tokens from different origins, even though it's the same token, basically have different IBC representations. So no way around this. But talking about IBC, so part of our ecosystem, on Megaloo, certain liquid staking derivatives, but also, the Raccoon team who are doing games, they cannot come to Luna Classic because the IBC version is outdated. So, if you want to have more teams building on the chain, like Raccoon team, like others, getting up to the latest tech standard, at least so that everything can be used, would be really good.
Another proposal, perhaps, right? PSX.
Oh man, I just.
You mean IBC version?
Yeah, because IBC 4 is not compatible with Token Factory. I think it was fixed somewhere in 5, so you need to upgrade to 5.
But we are already on 6.
Oh, you did the 6 upgrade?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we are on 6.2.0.
Oh, is that one on this latest update?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Damn, that was quick. I was like,
lucky you guys. Lucky you.
All right, there you go. Yeah, when I hear props and governance, I just want to throw up in my mouth. Not gonna lie.
It's a necessary thing, though. It has to happen.
I know. I see it. I'm just like, nah, I'm over it. All right, moving on, because we are down. We're like almost at the end of the hour. Jerry, oh man, we got a lot of topics to hit.
Well, I don't know if anybody caught it, but CENTCOM did mention that there is potential for funding for IDOs and other protocols through the infra of White Whale protocol. So people that want to build on the chain but don't have the capital to do so, there are going to be infrastructure functions through White Whale protocol to be able to implement that sort of thing. And there's a place to launch tokens as well, which is another way of funding a project. But CENTCOM, my question is say somebody wants to do a protocol or a project based off of your infrastructure, but they don't want to launch a token. Is that still possible?
Before I answer the question, one last thing, before I forget it. If you're listening to this space, please give everybody here on stage a follow and retweet the space with the hashtag, ride the whale, or, hashtag sail with the whale, your choice. That would be greatly appreciated. So more people can find this space and listen to it afterwards. Okay, now to your question. So when it comes to, people wanting to leverage something White Whale, the blockchain, the app, the bots, whatever it is. First thing, just reach out to us. That's the most easy thing, just reach out to us, and usually we'll try to help you, push you guys forward, in the best way that we can. And if it's a good idea, it's a serious idea, and it's worth putting in the time for everybody, we help with everything that we can, from PR, from general advisory to tokenomics, marketing strategy, going live, design choices, everything. And if there's no token, then of course there needs to be a strong, the most important thing is that there's a win-win situation for both parties involved. That's, the only kind of deal I like to make, win-win. So when there's a token, usually creating the win-win situation is pretty straightforward, which is, some tokens go back to the foundation, or there's an airdrop to the whale community, or there's, tokens make it easy. If there's no token, there is still, ways to create a win-win situation, but they're a little bit, more difficult. One idea would be to, put some of the fees back to the White Whale protocol, or, leverage it in an exclusive way that, drives up volume and revenue of the White Whale protocol. If there's a compelling argument, then, we don't need a token for this.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That's awesome. I like that. Now, I do want to get to one more thing before we don't have much time. But there's been some interest in DAO making. And Enterprise DAO does it on Luna 2.0. Is there room for something like that on Luna Classic right now, or what does that look like right now? Is White Whale going to bring something like that over?
So we're not doing DAOs. That's TFL. But I believe it's all about creating momentum, and if there's enough momentum, people will flock naturally, and all these good things come. It's kind of like a chicken egg problem. You need the activity to get the activity, and that's the hard thing. But White Whale specifically is only focused on the DEX and the flash loans, and helping those teams who build with us, expanding together. That's our focus mostly.
I want to stay on top of the activity part. While there are other individuals in the small independent teams throughout the community that are working on the chain, I want to take that, expand it into the documentation that Krunk wanted to try to figure out how to best address that. Maybe have Vin provide some input. Let's start off with, can we define what that means exactly, documentation? Because in my head, I'm thinking like, what, a YouTube video of how-tos? What is it, to explain and walk somebody through that process? Or is it a link that they click to and it's and it's a 50-page document that they have to read through, and their eyes are going to squint so hard by the time they're done reading it, they probably forgot what they read in the first paragraph of the document. Kronk? Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, sorry. First I'll just add to the enterprise thing, and then I'll talk about the document. But so enterprise, I know that they're trying to do cross-chain. Terra 2 is trying to do it. So I'm not sure who in Long can talk to them, but maybe we can just get them to build on Terra Classic, since I heard they're gonna move it to Neutron and other chains. So maybe Terra can when Do Kwon gets out of prison, he can see Terra Classic and Terra using Enterprise. So I think maybe Terra Classic doesn't need to develop Enterprise. We can just use Terra Enterprise from Terra, So relating to the documents, I think that was my biggest frustration when I was talking to Vin. There was no sample code and I've kind of referred to earlier. Like the reason Terra 1 was so easy to build was everybody was using Mirror Anchor's code for a template, at least for starting, right? And then Mirror Anchor had the code out, and then Spectrum Protocol, they open sourced their code, and then that was like 3 good code bases that you can copy off of to start off, right? And then Astroport, before they used to open source their code, and then now they don't too much of it, but like they had the LBP and all these things open sourced, and I think that's for at least the developer level, even though it's not documented so well, developers can look at that as examples and edit from there. I think not too much input on the community level in terms of how to get community people, but I think for developers, you want something to at least start from, right? You don't want to be able to try to figure everything from scratch. So I think if there was more open source documents, or even, I think a lot of the stuff that I think if we do this community tax thing and get it working, then some of us can just fork and edit the Mirror, Anchor, and Spectrum code to work on Terra Classic nicely, and then people can start with that, right? I think we can, So
Dan, did you want to add something to this?
No, I have nothing to add to.
Yeah, no worries, man. Jerry, I had a quick question about with what was it? Crap, I need to do a better job of keeping up with DAOs, but Enterprise DAO. We were talking about how JG was adamant about trying to get Enterprise DAO over to the Luna Classic, but I think Krunk may have addressed the solution.
JG also said similar thing in the back end when I talked to him quite a bit, because we partnered with him to do the Gravedigger NFT collection. So, and I asked him about that specifically because there is interest in the community to be able to create DAO within the community that are based on projects and or whatever somebody wants to make a DAO for, right? Mm-hmm. And absolutely correct. If they're not willing to come over, if somebody has access to the code, then
it's open source.
They can be motivated.
So you could take it if you wanted to.
What if we do it now?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So we wouldn't have to wait on Enterprise then.
But you have to overcome the tax.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
You need to do.
You guys are killing me, man.
Tax thing. But yeah, so these DAO tools are needed so in general, because they allow communities to form and organize themselves, and they're the foundation of a lot of of a vibrant ecosystem that's self-organizing and autonomous. And specifically in the case of Backbone Labs, they don't have a chain. So the whale community, they want DAOs too, because there's sub-communities forming, but they also have the chain governance. The Luna Classic community, they have sub-communities, but they also have the chain governance. And Backbone Labs doesn't have a chain governance. They just have their communities, and they need DAOs to organize themselves. And also, one of the key, the exciting things about Backbone Labs is this NFT fi. So, the staking your NFTs to get yield. And for this, you need DAOs. So you can actually stake and earn with your JPEGs.
We just got to get past that tax situation. Okay, I'm already feeling depressed.
Well, you can start writing the governance proposal.
Oh man, not me. I was like, anybody? Jerry, just help me out here, man. Like,
well, I wrote a proposal. Well, I helped write a proposal. I didn't write the whole thing. It's time consuming,
yeah,
and you got to get it right the first time, because if you don't get it right the first time, it's not going to pass, because it just ain't. And then if you do get it right, that doesn't mean anything either, because if all it takes is one person to say something's wrong about it, I mean, you really have to campaign. It's like a political thing. And you'd think it would be easy because it's just code is law type of situation. So if you do, I suggest anybody, if you're doing a proposal, it's best to have some type of code involved, so that there is code is law type of thing is being followed. And I mean, obviously, if it doesn't have anything like that, it's a signaling prop, and it's just opinion. Doesn't mean anything's going to happen necessarily, because if code needs to be developed and another proposal needs to come after, that's the next step, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. So we have a decentralized blockchain, and if people want things to happen a certain way, proposals are a must. And there are going to be people that don't agree, and there's going to be people that agree, and it has to go through that governance system, because that's what we have. And I don't know, I support it, right? I don't always agree with what happens, but at the end of the day, if a proposal passes, it passes. That's that. I just got to stand behind that, and because that's the way it is. You gotta accept whatever is happening. But I do like the idea of the conversation, because I was a part of the conversation with the taxes 10 months ago, 11 months ago, whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, about implementing them in the transaction. And I was a supporter of that, because for me, it seemed easier. And then we'd be in a situation where we could plug and play code.
that was not me.
Sorry about that. I had a phone call. Plug and play basically means what CENTCOM was talking about, where they have code already developed on another chain. It's a lot easier to transfer over to a new chain when there's not something that they have to overcome and optimize, such as what we have currently on Luna Classic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Which I've got one last question out of curiosity, and this is very hypothetical, probably a loaded one, and I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for this, but whatever. Let's just assume that the tax is removed, hypothetically. Not to say that the burn stop. I mean, it would be implemented in a different manner, but projecting outward, how much faster could Luna Classic onboard new projects, onboard new teams, onboard new DApps? What do you guys?
I'd say there's two dimensions to this. So one is onboarding cross-chain protocols. You know, those like Whiteway, like Backbone Labs, like Ares, like, you know, Raccoon, that already have applications and are just hesitant to, you know, put in the extra month of work to go to Luna Classic when they could do, you know, 3 other chains in the same time. So that's one dynamic. And, you know, I think given the very large, very active, and still surprisingly liquid, you know, Luna Classic community and Luna Classic ecosystem, I think there would be a lot of interest from cross-chain apps to expand to Luna Classic. So that's one. And two is it would simplify teams natively building on Luna Classic, like Bitmos, to just iterate faster. It would, you know, lower the burden, because, you know, for standard CosmWasm, there's lots of tooling, lots of, you know, boilerplate contracts out there that you can use. So it would massively simplify the organic development growth on Luna Classic. Now, obviously, it's very hard to quantify this, how much in a number. But I think, given the fact that there's just very, very few apps that are currently live and working on Luna Classic, I'd say, you know, we could see an order of magnitude more.
Vin and Crunk, did you want to add something to that? And because I lied, because I actually have one more question after this.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah. So yeah, I think if we can somehow put that community that White Whale suggested, the community tax, moved it over, then you know what? I think to be honest, we should just upgrade Lunk to everything that that the standard, like whatever. I think kind of similar to Terra 2 is doing in terms of, you know, how, well, after the DPEG Terra 2s, you know, they upgraded their custom water and everything. So I think if we upgrade everything to standardized and then remove this burn tax and then make development much easier, I think that'll be much more development on the community. And one thing Lunk has very good is they can borrow a lot of stuff from Terra, the original Terra. I think there was a lot of stuff developed and a lot of projects abandoned their code and everything, and the community can pick up a lot of stuff. I mean, there's marketplaces. You know, even like the Backbones lab, they can start using that onto Terra Classic. So there's so much stuff from Terra Luna and other chains that we could use if we could just get rid of this burn tax into the developer state.
Okay. All right. And then my last question, this is to Vin, and Vin, I saw that White Whale got their on-ramp with Kato before we did. And I know we had this I had this conversation with LBA back in like March or April. Where are we at with that? And I'm wondering in my head, like, how do they beat us to the finish line?
You're the on-ramp
Yeah.
with Guardian.
Yeah.
So if everyone go to Station Terra Classic community, and then you look at your wallet, and then you will see a buy option. You click on that buy option, you can buy Lunk in supported currency.
Like with a Visa, MasterCard?
Yeah, try it now. Go to Station Terra Classic community, and then you click on the wallet,
mm-hmm.
and then you will see a buy option.
Okay.
Do you see that one?
Let's see. I'm on my desktop right now. So,
all right.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is the buy option? I see enable injective. That's new.
So once you're on station, you click on the wallet, and then there will be a buy option.
We'll have to schedule a time where you can walk me through this one. I'm not seeing a buy option. Yeah, maybe I don't have something set up properly, or I'm missing something.
Oh no, this like right out of the front end, like.
Oh, okay. I see it. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right.
All right. Okay. So if you click on that buy option, it will bring you to Gradient, and then you can purchase Lunk with fiat currency. And this one, there's also another one as well. So the first one is on the station front end. The second one is with the wallet. If you look at the Terra Classic Station wallet extension, you will also see a buy option there as well.
Oh, I think we lost PSX again.
Oh. Yeah, so you can find the buy option in both of that.
PSX, when you get back up, I have one final question that I pulled from the chat to address, and then that'll be my last question.
Yeah, no worries. I accidentally hit the X button. That was my fault when I was moving the browser around. But yeah, I'll get up. We're pretty much over time, but go ahead, do your thing, and then we'll wrap it up and give everybody the last words.
So Nikos is concerned about layer twos with their like token factories and things like that, projects that are launching, and the security behind them, and to protect the Luna Classic community from some of the things that have happened recently with some of these projects, taking liquidity out, things like that, or for hackers, or however the narrative is that explains what happens. Uh, I I think that White Whale has a solution specifically for that, just because they have infrastructure. Is there a underlying security that would help prevent that, and provide some builders like myself that's trying to get a swap going that might interact with your decks or something like that, that is going to prevent things like that from happening, like what happened with Terraport? Because from my understanding, a lot of those things were potentially somebody from the inside and part of the actual project that created those protocols. And I'm imagining like all the code that White Whale has been audited. So that's a safe bet in my mind to be able to build on what you guys already have. So if somebody from the community is a builder and they want to get involved on Luna Classic, I think White Whale's a good way to gravitate towards, and at least start asking them questions. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, but if you want to protect yourself from that sort of thing, I think that's a good bet. So, Sencom, do you have anything to add to that? I know I just said a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to keep in mind that no amount of audits, is gonna put the risk to zero. We've had, hacks on Ethereum where 3 or 4 independent auditors, looked over the code and still $200 million got lifted. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can minimize the risk, but you can never, completely eliminate it. But that being said, we have, the best devs, I think, or one of the best devs in the whole, crypto space. We have,
And they're all good looking too, right?
they're very handsome, very handsome. That's important. Obviously we have done multiple audits in the past, so we're trying to do our due diligence, but there's always risk. You just, have to be aware of this.
And I want to add something to that, and this is a number that everyone should be aware of. But according to the FBI reports, 62% of hacks actually happen internally, and that's just here in the United States alone. And this is with big institutions, banking institutions. I mean, even big companies with reputable reputations can only do so much.
Yeah, exactly. Good numbers. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we can, we can try doing our best, and, everybody can. That's all you can do. You can just try to do your best and, hope it works. Everybody else, who tells you this is 100% secure, he's just, selling you snake oil. That being said, also with the, teams we work together with, obviously we vet them, we talk with them one-on-one. We, look at what they're doing. So we try to, filter out the low-hanging scams right away. So that's another layer of protection, like the social, our due diligence. But obviously, if there's a very sophisticated scam and they're listing a token, then they're rugging, that's hard. So we're trying to do our best. So if something, comes along a little bit fishy, we, for example, ask them to lock the liquidity in the DEX. So if they lock the liquidity, they can't rug the liquidity anymore. So we're doing our part as best as we can, but as always, you need to stay, very, very careful and, very deliberate in your actions. And it's also a good habit to, talk with people, join the Luna Classic Discord, join the White Whale Discord, talk about the projects with other people. And, if you do all this, and we all try to, do our best security practices, I think we can, minimize the number of hacks and exploits and rugs, we suffer from.
So from my understanding, a lot of the ones that have happened, well, maybe some of the ones that have happened, there was a internal mint function in the contract itself. You can have a contract that doesn't have a mint function, or you can have a contract that has a very specific mint function and what it's for and what can be done with that function. Part of the do your own research, unfortunately, would require somebody to look at a smart contract themselves and look at these functions. They're pretty straightforward after you get used to reading them. And after you know what a mint function looks like, then you'll understand it. Then you can ask questions to those specific people that are running that protocol, what that's all about, and then make your own mind up on how you feel about what their answer was like, right? But that's the whole careful thing about it. But there's been a lot of projects on Luna Classic, smaller tokens, meme tokens, if you want to call them that have mint functions. And if they already launch with lots of coins already, minting more doesn't make sense. I mean, usually those types of tokens usually thrive on a burn narrative. So minting more doesn't make sense to me. But it is, that's out there and it's in the contracts, and the contracts should be able to, you should be able to look at them. And at the least, you should be able to look at the functionality of those contracts. And if anybody has questions or help, I mean, there's plenty of people in the Luna Classic community that are accessible that can look at these things. And before you take a risk, figure it out as much as you can before you take a risk. And if you're not willing to, if you don't know, mitigate your risk as much as possible with how much you're willing to invest. But again, not financial advice. I just err on the side of caution with any new project, period, on any chain. That's just what I do.
One thing I do is I look at the project, like is the rug value valuable to them? For example, let's say White Whale develops the classic stuff. They try to rug the decks. There's no value. I mean, they can make X amount of dollars, but actually they're ruining their reputation. They're ruining their other projects. They're ruining their chain, right? So that's why I have confidence White Whale. They're not going to do anything bad to Terra Classic because they have a much bigger picture, right? And like we can look at like for example Polygon. There's basically a few people control the multi-sig and they can just rug Polygon, but then it's not value to them, right? I mean, I think they're thinking a bigger picture, right? They want to build something much bigger, and in the long run make much more money, right? If that's the end game, right? So I think that's one way to value it. You look at what the team is doing, and if there's value to I mean, just assume that they're going to rug, right? I mean, just assume they're bad people, and then they won't motivated by greed. So is it better for them to rug now or actually build a project and actually make more money in the end, right? So I think that's a kind of like a quick way to check. Yeah, one way.
Well, PSX, I think we've went about 15 minutes over, but we also took about 15 minutes before we started. So we're right about at the hour mark. So I want to thank everybody for coming in here. And I'm going to leave this opportunity open for everybody on the panel to say anything they want, their last words, and then PSX will say, goodbye, and then we will end the space at that point. And we'll just start around the table. Let's go with Vin, Crunk, then Sencom, and then PSX. Vin, can you speak? Are you still connected?
Yep, I can speak. For me, I have. Well, I mean, like, at first, I really want to thank you two for inviting me today. And if anyone has questions, then I'm willing to answer.
Right on. And Vin is on multiple chats. He's in the validator chat. He's accessible. So
he's multitasking right now. He's multitasking right now. I could hear it in his voice.
Yes, he is.
It's like I was chatting around playing customer service right now.
I mean, like if there is a project manager on the L1, then then he will be multitasking instead of me.
Thank you, Vin. Crunk, please.
Yeah, thank you, guys, for this podcast and roundtable. I think you guys, like White Will was saying, like you guys one of the best out there, ask smart questions and what the community wants. I really like White Will's input in this, removing the burn tax and then coming up with the idea of moving it to the community tax. I hope someone in the community or Vin or someone can push this forward. I think that'll help the development. In terms of security, I just thought of something. One of my friends, he has a startup doing the AI audited. So I can probably ask him to give it out for free in the beta period to anybody in the community. So I'll connect him to PCX, and then PCX can vet him and whatnot, and he can see if we can get this free tool for people. At least they can audit their smart contracts and log for free. And I'll talk to PCX after about this. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Fantastic. And our good friend Syncom.
Well, also thank you very much, Jerry PSX. It's always a pleasure. Thank you to my fellow panelists. It was very interesting talking with you here, with you, Vin, Bitmos, Krunk. Very nice, chatting with you here today on this panel. Also, thank you very much to everybody who tuned in. And I'd like to just give a last call of action. If you're on Luna Classic and you wanna take the lead, start building, reach out to us and we'll help you. If you want to build on Luna Classic, we'll help you. If you want to build NFTs, build on the DEX, launch your own protocol on Luna Classic or cross-chain, reach out and I'm sure we can work together. So let's get this thing going and let's get, activity rising again. So thank you very much.
And thank you. Okay, so real quick, just to kind of give you guys a future heads up of what to look forward to with Jerry and I. We've got some conversations with cross pollinations with NFTs, not just backbones, but with one really good artist, Tonko, who's down there in the audience. So give him a follow. I highly encourage it. It seems like there's a lot of cross community conversations that are taking place. So exciting news on that.
Can you share a little bit more? Now I'm curious, PSX.
Please
spill the beans.
No. I'm not dropping. I've been down that road, got me in trouble last time. And then I will drop this alpha. I've been in communications with TFM, so we'll see what that looks like. White Will did come up into that conversation, but I'll leave it at that because I don't know what it's going to look like. So I'll keep Jerry posted once we figure out what it's looking like. We'll make that announcement hopefully soon. But as far as Tonko goes, I'm gonna let Jerry and JG figure that part out. But other than that, again, please share this space, #Ride the Well, so that people can find it. And with that, guys, have a great Friday. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening today, everybody that came in. And yes, Tonko is a partner with Luna Sapiens and is helping out with the Bone Society NFT launch, which we'll be revealing soon. Take care, everyone.